You ever walk into one of our local businesses here in Phoenix,
Yeah.
and you can just tell right off the bat that they've got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's humming, the energy is good. You get that feeling like they're really on top of their game.
Well, today we're kind of talking about that same feeling of confidence, but in the digital world, Because let's face it, in Phoenix, it's not just the sunshine and heat we got to worry about.
Right.
It's a digital desert out there, full of cyber threats, just waiting to scorch a small business if you're not prepared.
Yeah, and what's wild is how many businesses think cybersecurity is like a luxury item.
Yeah.
Something only those big corporations with endless budgets need to even think about.
Right.
But here in Phoenix,
Yeah.
cyberattacks, they're on the rise. It's becoming as essential as, I don't know, having work in air conditioning in August.
It's like trying to run a restaurant with no health inspection, you know what I mean? You might have the best food in town,
Right.
but one bad review about food safety, and bam, reputation's gone. Exactly. And it's even riskier online.
Yeah.
You're talking about protecting your customers' data, your financials, your entire reputation. One little breach can have a ripple effect, impact your bottom line for years.
It's true, and it reminded me of something we found in our research. Did you know that businesses that actually invest in cybersecurity see an average ROI of 400%?
Wow.
That's wild. Every dollar you put in, you could potentially save $4 in recovery costs, legal fees, all the headaches that come with a cyber attack.
It's common sense at this point, and it's more than just avoiding disaster. It's about building that trust with your customers. I mean, did you know 87% of consumers are more likely to do business with a company that has a really strong security setup?
87%, that's huge. So it's not even just about protecting yourself. It's about attracting and keeping those loyal customers. That's just smart business.
Exactly. And it's about knowing the landscape, especially here in Phoenix. We've got such a diverse range of businesses here, from those new tech startups to healthcare providers, even those mom and pop shops and restaurants that make our city so unique. And each industry, they've got their own rules and best practices when it comes to cybersecurity.
Speaking of regulations, I always get tripped up by all those acronyms. HIPAA, PCI DSS, CCPA. It's like alphabet soup sometimes.
I hear you. It can definitely feel overwhelming, but let's try to break it down a bit. Imagine you're a therapist here in Phoenix, and you're keeping all your patients' records digitally. Well, AAP is your new best friend. It's there to make sure you're handling that sensitive information responsibly, keeping it safe and secure.
Okay, so API, that's for healthcare. Makes sense. What about something like PCI DSS? What's that all about?
So say you're running a trendy boutique in Scottsdale, and you're processing credit card transactions all day. That's where PCI DSS comes in. Make sure that data is handled securely, protects you and your customers from fraud, like having a security guard posted at your cash register 24/7.
Gotcha, so like a digital bouncer for your data. And then there's CCPA.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit I'm still a little fuzzy on that one.
Okay, so think of it this way. Let's say your boutique also has like a killer online store, right? You're shipping those stylish outfits to fashionistas all over the country, including California.
Right.
CCPA comes into play because it gives California residents specific rights about their personal information. So even though you're here in Phoenix, if you've got those California customers, you got to be aware of CCPA compliance.
Okay, so it's not just about where your business is located,
Yeah.
but also where your customers are and what kind of information you have about them.
Exactly. And the good news is that if you're proactive about cybersecurity, it can save you a lot of headaches down the line and potentially even lawsuits. It's all about knowing the rules of the game. So you can play smart and win, right?
So we've covered a lot of ground here. From the unique cybersecurity challenges here in Phoenix to understanding all those industry-specific regulations.
Right.
But let's get practical for a second, What are some real, tangible steps a small business owner can take to protect themselves? Do they need to become, like, cybersecurity experts overnight?
Definitely not. It's not about becoming a hacker overnight or anything like that. Just like you wouldn't build a house without a solid foundation, right? You don't want to build your digital presence without a strong security framework. And that starts with something surprisingly simple, a professional security assessment. Think of it like getting the blueprints drawn up, but for your business, digitally.
So kind of like hiring a contractor to check for cracks in the foundation before you buy a house.
Exactly. A cybersecurity pro, they'll come in, look at all your systems, your website, everything, and they'll pinpoint any vulnerabilities, those metaphorical cracks. And then they can tailor solutions to fit your needs and your budget.
No more guessing games. I like it. But what about the basics we always hear about? Firewalls and antivirus software. Those are still important with all the fancy new tech these days, right?
Absolutely. Think of it like basic hygiene for your business, like washing your hands before you handle food. Firewalls are like that strong security guard at your front door, checking everyone's ID before they even get close.
Okay. And antivirus software, that's like having a cleaning crew come in after hours and sanitize everything.
Exactly. Always working in the background, scanning and cleaning up any malicious software, trying to sneak in and cause problems.
So we've got the security guard, we've got the cleaning crew, but what about us, the humans? Isn't there always the risk of like an employee accidentally clicking on a phishing link in an email?
Oh, absolutely. You're right on the money. Even with the tightest security, humans are often the weakest link. That's why training your employees is so important. It's like teaching your team to spot a fake ID so they don't accidentally let a cyber criminal walk right in.
So it's not enough to just have the tools, right? You got to know how to use them. Empower your team to be that first line of defense.
Exactly. And speaking of defenses, one simple but powerful tool I always recommend is multi-factor authentication, or MFA.
Oh yeah, MFA. That's when you log into your bank account and they send a code to your phone. You got to enter that code along with your password.
That's the one. It's like having a deadbolt and an alarm system on that front door we were talking about. Even if someone gets their hands on your password, they can't get in without that second layer of authentication.
Music to my ears. That's great.
Yeah.
What about the data itself? How do we protect that if, worst case scenario, someone actually gets past all our security measures?
That's where data encryption comes in. Think of it like locking all your sensitive information in a safe. You've got the only key. Even if they steal the whole safe, they can't get to the good stuff inside without it.
So it's about making the data itself useless to anyone who shouldn't have access.
Exactly. And the best part, a lot of cloud-based services, software, they offer really strong encryption features these days. It's built right in. You don't have to be a tech whiz or spend a fortune.
That's a relief to hear. Sounds like there are a lot of good options out there for protection, even for businesses working with a smaller budget.
Absolutely. And that's something we really want to get across. You don't have to break the bank to have good cybersecurity. In fact, not investing in cybersecurity could end up costing you way more in the long run.
That's a great point. But let's switch gears for a minute. We've talked a lot about the what of cybersecurity, but I'm curious about the why. How does all this translate into real-world wins for Phoenix small businesses?
That's the million-dollar question, and the answer might surprise you.
We've talked about all these defenses, the firewalls, the encryption, all that, but it sounds like cybersecurity is about more than just like the technical stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's bigger than that. It's about understanding that investing in cybersecurity is like investing in your brand as a whole. Think about it. You walk into a local business here in Phoenix, and you can just tell they've got it going on. Everything's clean, organized, secure. You instantly feel that sense of trust, you know?
Right.
Like they're taking care of their customers, you know?
Yeah, it's like that feeling you get when you walk into a well-run restaurant. You can see they're on top of things, maintaining those high standards.
Exactly.
You feel good about spending your money there.
Exactly. And in this digital age, cybersecurity is becoming just as important as those real-world trust signals. Customers want to know their data is safe with you, that you're taking it seriously.
So it's not just about protecting your business. It's about building a brand that people trust, that they feel good about supporting.
Exactly. And the data backs it up, you know. We've seen studies showing businesses with strong security practices, they see more loyal customers, better reputation, even increased sales.
Wow, so it really is, like they say then, doing good is good for business.
It really is. And the best part is, you don't have to figure this all out alone. You know, there are experts right here in Phoenix who can help you every step of the way.
That's great to hear. And speaking of help, are there any resources that you recommend for small business owners who want to learn more about all this?
Absolutely. The Arizona Attorney General's website is a fantastic resource, especially for understanding those specific regulations for your industry. They've got tons of information on consumer protection, data security, all tailored for Arizona businesses.
Okay, that's good to know. And don't forget about the Small Business Administration, the SBA. They have those free counseling and training programs,
Yeah.
specifically focused on cybersecurity for small businesses.
And if you really want to dive into the technical side of things, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, they've got some really good resources on cybersecurity frameworks and best practices.
Okay, so we've got the Attorney General's website, the SBA, NIST, lots of good resources out there. Any other words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Just remember, cybersecurity, it's not a one-time thing. You know, it's a journey. It's about building that culture of awareness in your business, empowering your team, making it part of your everyday routine.
So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Staying informed, adapting to new threats, making sure your business is ready for whatever comes its way.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this. Talk to other business owners, share your experiences, learn from each other. Because at the end of the day, a more secure Phoenix business community benefits everyone.
I love that. We're all in this together, right? Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into cybersecurity ROI for Phoenix small businesses. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two, not just about what cybersecurity is, but why it matters so much. It's not just about checking boxes. It's about protecting what you've worked hard to build, building that trust with your customers, and ultimately setting your business up for success both now and in the future. Thanks for joining us.